everyone. I felt really inspired to share with you an experience that I had several weeks ago with being a student of A Course in Miracles. So several weeks ago on this particular day, I was scheduled to teach a class in the evening, and I found myself unexplainably nervous. I was prepared, I felt ready for this class, I had done this particular lesson before, and yet I felt jittery, unsettled, not peaceful, and I was just like, what is going on? Why am I so nervous? There was no logical reason for me to feel so nervous in my mind. So simultaneously, what was going on was that I was also holding on to a grudge. For about 24 hours, there was a period where I was struggling with somebody in my life, and I was pretty unwilling to see this person and to see the situation differently. Now, being a student of A Course in Miracles for quite some time now, I'm very much in touch with where my willingness level is. I know when I'm willing and I know when I'm not willing. And this particular time, I was not willing to see differently. I wanted to be right rather than happy. So one of the things, when we finish the lessons in A Course in Miracles, our lessons don't stop. The Course says that you'll find your lessons show up for you in your day, and this is exactly what was going on. And this part of the Course came to mind for me. This comes from lesson 198, Only My Condemnation Injures Me. There's a particular line in this lesson that reads, "Do not forget today that there can be no form of suffering that fails to hide an unforgiving thought." So there I was, suffering with being really nervous about teaching this class, and I also had quite an unforgiving thought with hanging on to this grudge with this other person in my life. So I stopped and I looked at what was happening, and I thought, all right, I'm willing to see the situation with this person differently. And for the first time in about 24 hours or so, I had that tiny, tiny little bit of willingness to see this other person, to see the situation differently. With that tiny bit of willingness, I handed it to my inner teacher, what A Course in Miracles refers to as the Holy Spirit, and I was like, okay, I'm willing. I'm willing to see this differently. Shortly thereafter, guess what happened? My peace came back. I felt much better about teaching the class. The nervousness fell away, and there I was, just feeling ready and feeling much more peaceful. Now, it seems like these two things are pretty unrelated in terms of a grudge and then being nervous to teach a class. When I looked further, what came forward for me was that in holding a grudge against another person, I was holding that person to their limited identity in this world, to their limited sense of self, and I was really strengthening not only seeing them as their ego, but seeing through my own. So I was holding myself to my limited identity in this world, to my own ego, just by holding that grudge against that other person. And it was when I had that tiny bit of willingness to see differently, to release that person and be willing to see the truth within that person, that I also loosened my fixed identity with this limited identity that I have in order to experience something greater. And so essentially what happened was that the nervousness fell away because I was no longer as strongly identified with my own ego. And what came to me was that I am not teaching this class alone. It's very much just about me showing up and getting out of the way. And so with that, the peace returned. So if you find yourself going through some type of challenge, just remember that there's no form of suffering that fails to hide an unforgiving thought. It might not be something as clear-cut as what I experienced, but all you need is to just continually have willingness to see whatever it is that you're going through differently. Thanks so much for watching.